Hello future lawyers, you are welcome to the continuance of our video on legal method. So far we have made a lot of video that covers legal method, but this is basically the beginning of a new semester lecture on legal method, and we hope to cover most of all the topics, especially the one that will be treated in first semester in legal method. So if I were you, the best way to follow this course is to begin early, and I encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you continue to receive lectures video every single Saturday. That will go a long way to enhance your learning as far as law is concerned. On this first lecture series on legal method, we are actually going to consider what legal method is all about, purpose of legal method. From there, to some extent, we also define law, so that as a lawyer in equity, or as someone who is interested in studying law, or who has gotten admission to study law, probably 100 level to study law, you will then have to know the meaning of law. That is why it is necessary. So without further ado, let's begin the lecture video properly. If you have gotten admission to study law, the first legal course that is offered in almost 99% of all the university in the world is legal method. And the question is, why is it legal method? Legal method is actually the only course in law that will introduce you to every single thing you have to know about the profession you have come into. In legal method, you are going to find law of contract. In legal method, you are going to find legal system, which is also an advanced method of legal method. In legal method, you are going to find constitutional law. In legal method, you are going to find element of thoughts. Everything any course you will study from your second year above, or any law courses you ever come encounter from your second year down to your final year, all of them in one way or the other in its elementary nature has its root in legal method. That's why any law student who has gotten admission, any 100 level law student, in the university, it is a course that you don't joke with, because it is the only course that will make or mar your chances of becoming a lawyer. Now, the question now is, what is legal method? Legal method simply refers to the practical mode or rule of operating any act relating to law in a regular and orderly manner in order to accomplish an end or to achieve a particular goal. So I want you to know now that when we talk about legal method, we are simply referring to the sum total of all practical efforts or measures geared towards accomplishing a given legal question or issue, which could be judicial or legislative matters. Now, if you look at this definition I gave you, it simply means that legal method has to do with anything that pertains to acting in a manner that is consistent with orderliness as far as law is concerned. So it's not just acting in a manner that is consistent with order, but then since it involves law, it has to do with everything that has to do with mode of operating in a manner that is consistent with orderliness and with that of law. To bring the whole idea down, when we are talking about legal method, it is the only courses that train you to think like a lawyer. It is the only course that elevates you from that secondary school thinking to university thinking, not just university thinking, but as far as it concerns law. Through this course, you are going to differentiate yourself from that normal secondary school child you are or person you are to another person who is now in the law. After offering this course, it is expected that when you go home, you will be arguing like a lawyer. It is expected that by then, when you visit your parents after the first semester, your vocabulary should have been polished in such a way that you'll be living with legal jargons. That is what this law is all about. It will introduce you to the rudiments of how law works. Through this law, you are going to know what we mean when we say lex injusta non lex ex, lex cogit ad impossibile, lex lata, lex talionis, and so many other concepts of Latin maxim you could think of, the link ferenda. These nemo dat quod non habet, and so many more, lex vigilantibus non dominantibus adjuret. These things I just pronounced basically has its root in Latin maxims. All of them is through legal method. We are going to learn it. Now we then move to what is the purpose of legal method, or so to say, what is the functions of legal method. We have seen the definition, right? What about the purpose? And believe me when I say the best way to even understand legal method is to approach it from its functions in the first place. Number one purpose of legal method is that legal method is the only course that imbibes students with the art of thinking like a lawyer. I pointed it out. Through legal method, your reasoning will change. After offering legal method, possibly in your first semester, you will no longer be reasoning like a layman. That is what differentiates lawyers from non-lawyers. Have you ever wondered why is it that when the court give judgment, they will say lawyers have lied? It's because to an average man or to common man in the street, to somebody study political science, agriculture, and so many more, not mean to demean them, but just to make a point. They will be, they will be confused when we argue. They will be confused when we make some certain alterations that negate what the society has over the years stand for. But without actually having this knowledge, they may not actually be able to understand where we are coming from. That's why legal method is there for you. It will open your eyes to see things in a legal perspective, to reason logically, no longer based on emotion. Where I can see his hand filled with blood now, he must be the murderer of KK. No, it doesn't work that way. Because the rule of law is that whoever that is charged with criminal offense is presumed innocent, section 36 of 5, until when proven guilty. So no matter how evidence it is, no matter how dirty the hands of the person is with knife, it is not just enough to suggest that he has killed the person or murdered the deceased. You have to prove, you have to adduce evidence, because section 131 of the Evidence Act made us to understand that whoever seeks the court to rely upon any assertion before the court of law must adduce substantial evidence to prove that such fact actually exists. To break it down, if you come to court to argue, you must actually support your argument with cases. You must actually support your argument with statutory authorities. Subsequently in our lecture video, I'm going to tell you everything you're going to know about legal method, about all your legal courses. The only thing I just need you to do is to subscribe to this channel and come here every single Saturday to see a new video that will help you. Legal method, as one of its purpose, also helps to equip the students with court decorum. When we talk about court decorum, remember, there cannot be law without the court, and there cannot be court without the law. So all of them has a way to connect. Legal method is the first course that will imbibe you with legal decorum. As in the course of your journey of becoming a lawyer, you also be introduced moot court activity. You are going to see how moot court activity works, where you'll be arguing like a lawyer, standing as a counsel. Basically, I could remember during my days in 100 level, I participated in a lot of debates, multi-facts, not mean to argue, but I once become the best speakers within my 100 level. So these are what legal method does for you. It will introduce you to see how filing process works, how court activity works, everything about court decorum. And how do you learn this? You learn it through the debates and mock trials that will be organized in any school you have gotten admission to. These are what legal method does for you. Another thing is that legal method helps to imbibe in you the principles of logic and critical thinking. That is what basically legal method does for you. It helps to change your narrative. You will no longer be reasoning based on emotion. You will no longer be reasoning based on sentiment, but rather everything you will be saying, asserting, will be based on core principles of logic. That is what legal method. Alongside with logic and critical thinking and so many other courses of philosophy you may be offering in your 100 level, will go a long way to shape your perceptions, shape your understandings, so that when things happen, you don't just see it from the peripheral level. You not just make assertion based on emotional or sentimental idiosyncrasy, so to say. Rather, you will be making a point as a sound law student. So these are what legal method does for you, so to say. Legal method also help to widen student knowledge on the gamut of legal practices. I've said it earlier, legal method will widen your knowledge to see things in different perspectives. In fact, I could remember that when I finished my 100 level, that was when my life actually changed. To some extent now, when I come back home, I always find it difficult to blend again with so many things I'm used to. My mother began to say that I've changed. My siblings begin to accuse me of making a lot of arguments, not agreeing for anybody, so to say. I choose no longer to agree for anybody. If you must tell me something, you must back it up. These are what legal method does for you. In fact, legal method seems to be the only court that gives you your first pride. But as you progress and move to secondary, third year, in fact, everything will just begin to die down. You then begin to see more strength. You begin to see more to law than just most of this initial grammar. But believe me, legal method will train you to think like a lawyer. That is in summary. Now, because of the purpose of this video, remember I told you that legal method is not just enough without law, or law is not just enough without legal method. See it this way: legal method introduces you to the rudiment of law. And we are now, I believe at this point, we have understood what legal method means. I simply say that legal method helps you to, understand how law works, or do things that are consistent in an orderly manner as it concerns law. Now, what is the meaning of law? As somebody who has gotten admission to study law, the first way to begin is to ask yourself, what is law? Law in its elemental definitions, based on what is common to you now, you may say now that law simply refers to body of rules and regulations that governs a particular people. You are correct if you say that, 100% correct. But within the realm of law, law goes beyond just that definition. In fact, as it stands today, there is no universal definition of law. The reason is that law means different things to different people. And for the sake of that, in legal jurisprudence or in the field of law, what happens then is that different people begin to define law the way it relates to them. Those who believe in natural law, we are going to cover that in our video. That's why I will really advise you to subscribe to this channel. Not because you are pleasing me, no, but because I know that every single Saturday you must see a notification of video that can help you in this journey, because law is tough. Yeah, I don't mean to demotivate you, but I have to tell you the truth. Law is very tough, and the best way to navigate when the lecture gets serious is to continuously spend time like this. That's why you are better than someone who is watching TikTok. So I encourage you to subscribe. When you do that, turn the notification on. By long pressing it, you're going to see option of all notification. If you put it in all notification, the implication is that every single Saturday and Wednesday when we post a video, it will come as a notification. If it's the topic resonates with you, click it and watch it at your leisure time, of course, and you'll see how your academic life will change. So when we talk about law, there is no one concise definition. What happened then is that if we are going to approach it from our lecturer perspective, or when we are being asked to define law, we don't just give one definition. No, we are going to underscore it based on what we call in law as authorities. Like you say, according to Professor this, Professor that, according to Justice Nikitobi, according to Professor Trinte, according to Sege on law of contract, according to Professor Bin Lade on Nigerian legal system, according to S.A. Malami, law can be defined, or law was defined, or law is defined. This is how we answer law questions. Of course, we are going to actually come on that as we progress. Then, for the benefit of this video, here is a definition you should know, a very elementary definition you should know about law. We say that law means the body of rules and regulations, either arising from people's belief, practices, or formally made, which controls the conduct of the people in a given society, and is enforceable by the authority of the sovereign. Now, I want you to pay key attention to this definition I gave you, so you can actually underscore some points. When we say that law is a body of rules and regulation, either arising from people's belief or practices, it simply means in this case that law could actually be our customs. If wherever you are watching this video, there are definitely a tradition that binds your people. There are traditions that govern your people, the way they do things. In some community, there are some river you don't visit anyhow, not just because of the mysteries or spiritual phenomenon that surrounds it, but because of that if you visit them, if you visit that river, you are violating the law or the tradition of your people, and they are going to punish you severely for that. These things are laws. Before the coming of the Britain, our people, our African fathers has always had a way they do things. And the European came with their sophisticated law to amend our African tradition, not simply to do away with it. So in the court of law, our traditions are still a binding law, provided that it is not against the constitution, provided it's not against any law that is made by that country. So as we progress, we are going to know how this thing works in law of contract, how it works in criminal law, and so many more. But just take it from me that law could be tradition, it could be customs, like Islamic traditions. Of course, you know how Muslims do their things. It could also be the paganism ways, or should I say the traditions of our forefathers. These things are laws and they are binding. Then when you talk about those ones that are formally made, we are referring to those ones in Constitution, in the Evidence Acts, and so many other acts, Marriage Acts, so many other acts. These are laws that governs our people. So take it from me today that law has no universal definitions, and then if you're approaching law, you must cite authorities. We have already discussed a lot of authorities. There are videos on this channel where I talked about 5 authorities you should use to crush your paper when asked to define law as a beginner in legal method or as a 100-level law student. So if this video is what you are hoping to get, the video is up. These 2 playlists above is going to help you. In our next lecture video, we are going to consider much other characteristics of law, functions of law, and some certain terms you should get used to as you have started this journey. So click this video above and also check it out and see how those videos help you. I'm going to see you next Saturday on this channel.